Hello, I'm Dr. Janine, and this is my Dr. J9 Top 9 in 9, so 9 tips for autoimmune disorders. And an autoimmune disorder basically means that the body is attacking itself. And there are a number of different autoimmune disorders, and there's things in the immune system like the T helper cells and the Treg cells that get out of balance. So my tip number 1 is to make sure that we're taking care of our gut health and making sure that we're closing up those tight junctions, because the tight junctions, when they're opening up, this is the leaky gut syndrome, and part of now that undigested food getting into the bloodstream, now the immune system is reacting to it and sort of questioning, well, what are you? I don't really recognize you. And this is part of that autoimmunity. So really important to heal the gut. You want to look for functional proteins to help to actually heal that gut tissue and that leaky gut, and some accessory nutrients like selenium and N-acetylcysteine are really important for that gut health. Tip number 2 is taking care of the microbiome. So the microbiome is that internal environment. We need to have more of the good guys, so more of the probiotics, our live microflora, to really help to make sure that our immune system is working as it should and maintains that balance. When we have too many of those bad guys like the parasites, the candida, what happens is that we get this imbalance in the microbiome, and this is unhealthy. So we want to have probiotic foods, so things like yogurt. We also want to have kimchi, sauerkraut, which are fantastic, but also supplementation is important when we're talking about the microbiome. Studies have shown with the microbiome that it's important to maintain that balance, and specifically for autoimmunity. So just one that I have here from Frontiers in Microbiology talks about the several articles that have emphasized that there's a connection between the intestinal autoimmune disorders such as Crohn's and with dysbiosis and this imbalance in that microbiome, as well as talking about other non-intestinal related diseases like Graves' disease, MS, type 1 diabetes, and SLE, so lupus, and psoriasis, schizophrenia. These have all been related, again, to that imbalance in the microflora and that unhealthy microbiome and the autoimmunity. Tip number 3 is to get enough vitamin D3. So vitamin D3 we know is a sunshine vitamin. We all need to make sure that we are getting enough, because it has an effect on our T helper cells and helps to keep the T helper cells on track. I have another study from Human Immunology that talks about vitamin D3 specifically, and the data has suggested that a potential insight into the consideration of vitamin D3 in the prevention and control of the pro-inflammatory response and autoimmune disorders. So a lot of research is looking at vitamin D3 and why it's so important to be able to have that positive impact and that finding that balance in the immune system, which of course can relate back to the gut as well. Tip number 4 is earthing. So if you've not yet heard or have been doing earthing, what this means is getting your feet grounded in the earth without wearing shoes, of course. So whether this is on the grass, whether this is at the beach, whether this is, in the mud, that you're able to ground. And much like, in electronics, when you need to have that ground into the earth, it helps to have that positive impact on all of the cells of our body, which are electrically charged. And so a lot of research has gone into earthing and finding this balance. And what that grounding does is it helps to have that positive impact on the electrical charge in our body, which has an anti-inflammatory effect overall in our body, which is really promising. Tip number 5 is omega-3 fats. So these are healthy fats. Yes, we need to have healthy fats in the diet. So when we're getting omega-3 fats from a fish source, this would be certainly a non-vegetarian source, but this is where we get our concentrated DHA. And I tend to focus a little bit more on DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, because as humans we tend to be more deficient in DHA as opposed to EPA, but they're both really important and they help to decrease inflammation in the body overall, but also in the gut. Another thing would be the vegetarian sources certainly of the omega-3s, and these have an anti-inflammatory effect as well, but they have a harder time converting into that active DHA because we need that special enzyme for that conversion. So whether you're getting it from your omega-3s from a vegetarian source or a non-vegetarian source, it's totally up to you. Tip number 6 is to trap heavy metals, and chlorella helps to do this, helps to decrease the heavy metals in our body. So heavy metals, so things like mercury, aluminum, all of these heavy metals that are unfortunately in our environment. Sometimes they're hidden in our beauty products, they could be hidden in our foods from the soils, and this heavy metal toxicity is a big problem when we're talking about that inflammatory response in the gut and, of course, in autoimmune disorders. So what the chlorella does is it helps to trap those heavy metals which have that negative impact on our body and our toxicity, and now we're able to have that decreased effect on our immunity and that one of those causative factors for that autoimmune condition. Tip number 7 is exercise. So exercise we know is anti-inflammatory, helps to relax the nervous system. And for people who have autoimmune disorders, it's important to make sure that you're exercising. You've got to get that blood flowing. You have to have that positive impact on the gut as well. And when you're exercising, you're moving your blood flow, and that's important. Also having that relaxing effect after exercise, that you have that good night's sleep. And because when you have that good night's sleep, your body is actually regenerating and restoring itself and has a better detox ability in your liver, in your kidneys when you have that restful night's sleep. So I find for a lot of people that exercise really helps to have that balance between, utilizing energy actively during the day and then also having that restful night's sleep, which is great for autoimmunity. Tip number 8 is fasting. So yes, fasting, and whether you're doing intermittent fasting or prolonged fasting, 1 to 2 to 3 days of fasting, we want to stimulate something called autophagy. And autophagy is the body's cleanup mechanism. So in our body, there's often, we have good cells and old cells. So cleaning up, we want those good cells to basically be eating away and getting rid of those bad cells, and that's what autophagy is in layman's terms. So a great way to do that and to activate that autophagy is to going into that fasting state. So if you're not used to doing fasting for a prolonged period of time, great to ease your way into it, and a great way to do this is the intermittent fasting. So you're fasting, for a few hours during the day, then you have an eating window. So, and the longer that you can make that fasting phase in a day, so, 18-6, so 18 hours of fasting, 6 hours of eating, of your eating window would be one of the ways that you could do this. And I encourage the intermittent fasting first before you're going to go, jump in with both feet on a prolonged fast. Tip number 9 is the Dr. J9 truth. So in every episode, I share my own truth about mind, body, and spirit connection as it's related to a topic. So something to think about with autoimmune disorders is to stop attacking yourself. So if you have, mentally, emotionally, in most cases, if you're hard on yourself, this could be related to, when you developed and the continuation of that autoimmune disorder. So something to think about. So thanks for joining me today. I'm Dr. Janine. Those were my Dr. J9 Top 9 and 9 and my Dr. J9 Truth for autoimmunity. Remember to always take care of your good health and do it naturally.